Well, here we are at Inspyrd Talk, so it must be Wednesday at noon. So welcome wherever you're watching from. At Inspyrd Talks, we believe that trauma is an injury that can heal. And every week we explore real stories, real solutions with leaders in coaching, therapy, and transformation. But before we start today's conversation, I want to ask you a question. And here's the question. What if the challenges you are facing weren't signs of a weakness or an issue? What if the challenges you're facing are actually entry points into healing, growth, and breakthrough? Today our conversation is all about that. We're so excited here to have our guest, Suzanne Longstreet from Clarity Coaching. Over the past decade, Suzanne Longstreet has coached six-figure, action-oriented female entrepreneurs to blast through their limiting thought patterns, rewire their minds for success, and achieve seven-figure revenues annually. Through her coaching work, Suzanne has empowered many women to break through their own glass ceilings and unlock their full potential. She uses a combination of powerful techniques: Neurolinguistic Programming, Hypnosis, Positive Intelligence, Quantum Linguistics, Timeline Therapy, and Neuroscience. Like you, her journey hasn't always been easy, and like so many, she struggled with imposter syndrome and the belief she wasn't good enough. She simply refused to allow these limiting beliefs to hold her back, persevered to discover the best solutions to clear her mindset, and now she uses her expertise, her experience to become even more powerful in her coaching practice. Today, her Quantum U coaching services are changing lives by facilitating female entrepreneurs across the world to shift their identities, their behaviors, and their patterns, and achieve their desired outcomes. Suzanne's clients experience increased focus and clarity, and as a result, they charge more money for their services and confidently attract more clients. Suzanne, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan. Happy to be here.
It's great to hear from you. It's great to connect here on the Inspyrd Talks. And I just want to jump right in with 2 feet. And here's how I suggest we do it. Why don't we start in the beginning? Before we get into the work you do now, give us a bit about your backstory. What brought you here? Why this path?
Let's go back to grade 2.
Oh, boy.
I swear to God, I grew up thinking that in grade 2, I had missed the day in school where they gave out the manual for life.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So I led my whole life going, okay, I'm missing something. Why do I not understand what's going on? What is it that's happening? Why is this not working for me? Why is it working for them? Why is it not working for me? What's wrong with me? And so that led a path of lifelong learning, of, going to see Dr. Norman Vincent Peale in the 80s for his answer on positive thinking. And then Wayne Dyer, because he was going to help me. And then Oprah, and then all the books and all the shows and everything that I could get my hands on to figure out what the heck was wrong with me. Why was I not able to do what other people were able to do so easily?
Yeah.
And then, started to coach. Got my first coaching designation, Alan. I don't know if you know this, in 2007.
Wow.
Yeah. I had been fired for my behavior, from my lifelong dream of being in corporate. I was in corporate learning and development, doing leadership training, performance management, coaching people how to have conversations around that were conflict, doing sexual harassment training, all sorts of great things. And fired, and didn't know what the heck, again, back to what's wrong with me? Why can't I figure this out? What's going on? Got my designation because I thought, well, I'll take this coaching course. And it was a year-long coaching certification, Alan.
Wow.
And at the end of it, it was June 9th, 2007. And I went, I'm a coach.
Woohoo!
Yeah, but hang on. I got to keep my job because I need the money. Tuesday, whatever day was that, the 12th of June, I walked in, your services are no longer needed.
Wow, the universe.
Right? And I was like, okay, but this time it wasn't for my performance or my behavior. It was simply that the job no longer existed in Toronto. They had moved my position down to Houston to another lady who was down there. It's like, okay, I'm out. I'm going to take my lovely severance package and my newly minted coaching certification, and I'll figure out how to be a coach. But in that coaching certification that I took a year to get, there was no tools or techniques or processes. It was just, great, you're a coach. I mean, where's my magic wand? You're a coach. It's like, yeah, but what do I do with it?
Yeah.
So then 5 years went by when I was dipsy doodling, trying to figure out what the heck to do, how to be a coach. I would give my wisdom to people. I would do all sorts of things, and I would dance around it. And I just, so I started a networking group for female entrepreneurs. That seemed like a good idea. In between that, I also got another certification of a coach, because I thought, well, this will help me.
Well, two are better than one. You know that.
Absolutely. This one was only a 2-day certification. So then I became, I can't even remember what the title was. So I've got it in my binders. So, okay, great. Now I'm a 2 times coach. I still don't know how the heck to do it. I still don't know how to build my business. I still don't know what I'm doing. I still don't believe in myself. Who am I to do this business? Okay, I'm going to go networking. Great. So I networked, got some clients, sort of fudged around. They all said that they had a result, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I just sort of talked at them. And then 2014 came around, and then I learned about neurolinguistic programming in the coaching.
Is this a turning point? Sort of 2 coaching, a decade of trying to be a coach but not successful, but 2014 is a turning point?
Yeah, 2014, no, because I said no, I'm not, my business is fine. Okay. I don't need that. And then I blew up my business.
Uh-oh.
I sabotaged my behavior again, came out. I don't know what the heck it was, but I didn't know at that time what it was. I blew up relationships, people who were referring me. I had centers of influence in the GTA West who were sending me clients, inviting me to speak, inviting me to work with them on projects. And I blew up every relationship that I had.
Wow.
So again, the same person who was training the NLP, they reached out again and said, would you like to do it now? Okay. And I turned to my husband and I said, I'd like to take this course. And he goes, yeah, you might as well, because you have no clients anyways.
Wow.
Perhaps that was the turning point.
As a coach, though, I need to interrupt.
Yeah.
I don't think your story's unique. Okay. I really don't. I think so many coaches have experienced something similar.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Where we get a designation, but we don't get whole or clean on ourselves. And then the universe, I don't care what language you want to use, inauthentic, whatever, you're not genuine, but the universe feeds it back. And as you say, you blow it up yourself, right? And you and I've seen so many coaches. So this is brilliant. I'm so thankful you shared that. And then, so you do your NLP, was it Prac, Master Prac? What did you do, or all of it?
Yep. I did, so May 2015, I did NLP Prac, and it was day 5. I did timeline therapy, and I came in the following day and I was a raging beast monster. And the trainer looked at me and said, you got some rage going on? Now, you don't say that to a good girl like me. No. I don't have rage. And oh my gosh. So I was at the back of the room clearing rage with another woman who had rage. And that helped. I was like, okay, this is really cool. And then they said,
bloody scary is what it is.
Yeah. And then and I was like, okay, well, maybe this shit does work. Or are we allowed to swear?
Wow.
And then the next one was, then they did the magic words. And they said, if you do NLP Master Practitioner, guarantee results in writing for your clients. And I went, oh, I like that. Oh, this stuff helped me. And I'm going to go and I'm going to be, so this will help other people. It was not about me. It was other people. I'm going to help other people. I'm very altruistic in those days. And then in the 2-week training, they said, and if you come to trainers training, we're going to tell you all these secrets. So a week later, I was in trainers training. So in the course of 8 weeks, I did 6 weeks of training and went from not knowing anything about neurolinguistic programming to all of a sudden being a trainer in NLP.
Yeah. And you still hadn't coached many people the way you want to coach them.
No, I had no idea.
But now you're a trainer of others.
Yeah. And now, and here's the fun part. And then for the next month, because I just was like, I felt like I had been pulled apart molecule by molecule and was stacked back differently. I didn't know how to look at the world. So I went and sat on my couch for a month. You remember this.
Oh, yeah.
And I was watching TV. And I just went on. Like, I remember thinking, I have no idea what to do. Again, the same litany. Even though I had all these wonderful tools and I could teach other people how to do it, I didn't know how to do it for myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long after that, you and I had a conversation.
Yep.
Do you want me to talk about that?
Well, yeah, if you would. I'll preface it though, because you had been a trainer. You were already a trainer, and you were sitting in the back of the room during my master prac course.
Yep.
And then I did hypnosis training or trainer's training. You were on the course with me.
Yep.
And then I was going to go do trainer's training the next summer, and I checked in with you, and I was so excited to check in because you and I had connected, and you had that organization, that Pinkpreneurs, and you had 1,600 members on Facebook. You could have sold them anything for $1 and made $1,600. You could have sold it for $100, made $16,000. 160, yeah, 16,000.
Yeah.
And I called you just all excited, sort of as a reference point. How's it going? And you said, not good. And I said, what's going on? And you said that exact thing. I'm sitting on the couch watching reruns of kids shows, eating Twinkies. And I said, come to my office.
Okay. I don't eat Twinkies.
Well, whatever it was, but it wasn't health food.
And to be really clear, I was watching Star Trek Enterprise.
Ooh.
Okay. So yeah, it was around that time, and you and I were in the back of a room. You had now gotten you were in trainers, and you looked at me and you said, very nonchalantly as we poured coffee, so when are you going to get rid of the post-traumatic stress disorder? And I went, no. I've had 2 breakthroughs on that already, Alan. It's gone. And you went, no, it's not. You're still demonstrating multiple behaviors of PTSD. Come to my office. And so I went, and I thought you were going to do a half-hour technique that was going to be magical. And you spent the day with me.
Yep.
And then this was the best part, is at the end of the day. So now I'm a trainer for a year. I've had multiple breakthroughs, the process that we do. And I thought I was above it all. And I'm like, okay, well, this should be gone. And I don't know what he's talking about. Okay, I'm going to humor him. And I went to your office. And at the end of the day, you said, okay, so we've really changed your neurology. So be really gentle with yourself, because you've had a massive shift today. And I'm like, I'm a trainer. I've got this. I'm fine. And then, so I went off and on my merry way. And then there was an event that I needed to go to. And there was somebody who was there, and she said, hey, I've been thinking about working with you. And I said, yeah, you want to do that? Great. Let's go. Let's sign up. Let's go. And I will tell you, my behavior was so different in the before days, before meeting Alan, before having the breakthrough with you, before clearing finally my complex PTSD as a result of being in an abusive marriage. I would have gone, oh my God, they said they want to work with me. I don't know how to work with them. I don't know what to say. Okay. What do I say? I have to think about it. Oh, let me defer them, and I'll send them an email, or I'll have a conversation with them at a later date, and then I'll ask for. But no, all of that chatter in my head was gone. And then it became, sure, let's do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And the next month, my revenue went from, $5,000 or $6,000 a month to, I think it was 16,000. And that's when I knew that was my evidence criteria. That was my proof that my problem was gone.
I remember checking in with you sometime later. I believe it was June, and was it 16 or 17? Yeah. And I said, how are you doing? And you were like bouncing, and you said, well, I don't want to tell you, but can I tell you how much revenue I made this month?
Yeah.
And I remember it was around 30K. It was like you'd hit a home run so far, you'd never experienced that. No, money isn't everything, but it's a sign that you are congruent, and you're holding space, and you can engage people and do what you do. People don't pay us for failure. They pay us when we get results for them. So if you have a 30K month, that means, you're on task, right? You're on spot.
Yeah. You're doing the actions, you're holding the focus. You've decided, you've committed, you're focusing on what you want. You're taking the actions to get you there. You're congruent. It's all working.
It's beautiful. So now you're on track. You and I've stayed in touch. That's almost a decade ago. I guess it's 9 years ago.
Yeah.
And we've stayed in touch. We actually did some trainings together, some hypno trainings. They were a blast. And we've stayed in touch. I follow your career. So today, So as you coach today, I know you've done a bunch of other designations. You relentlessly pursue excellence. So you want to get the very best so you can deliver the very best. So today, who do you work with? Who's your avatar? Who's that ideal client? And what kind of problems do they come to you with?
Today, it's interesting because about 10 years ago, I remember you and I talking, and you said, Suzanne, you really want to go for like a six-figure entrepreneur. And I was like, I'm not there yet. I can't coach somebody who's not at six-figure. And today I'm happy to say I'm at the six-figure, multiple six-figure as a coach myself. And that's who I work with, is female entrepreneurs who are in a service-based business, who are making six figures and want to get to seven figures, but they know there's something inside of them they're stopping. They're doing busy work that's not serving them. They're over controlling. They're not delegating. They don't hire the team members that are working out for them. And when they do, they make excuses for them. There's a whole lot of nuance as to the service-based female entrepreneur who is not paying herself what she's worth. She might say to the world, oh, I have a multiple six-figure business and I have, $500K in revenue last month, but she hasn't taken home a paycheck in years.
Yeah. So what do you mean by service-based?
Consulting. So I work with a mortgage brokers. I work with real estate agents.
Okay.
So they're not selling a product. They're having to go out into the world and sell themselves.
Yes.
That is scary. And I think, it'd be fun to have a conversation about this at some point, Alan, is there's a different nuance between a female being willing to offer her services and the male. And this doesn't affect all. Okay. Yeah. It's not all male and all women. But generally my client is really hesitant to show her face on social media, do a post on social media, do a video on social media, do a guest speaking, stand up on stage. They want to stay invisible, but grow a really successful business.
Let me ask you a question, and correct me if I'm off track. My experience here is that so many people come, you mentioned the behaviors, the overthinking, the non-delegating, and the cognitive coaching world would admonish that person, that behavior is not serving you, try and convince them it's wrong, get a lot of leverage, then say, why don't you practice this technique? Instead of procrastinating, write a list of 10 items, get them all done by noon hour, take a gummy, do whatever. But it's all process cognitive. And if you actually get the person to do it for 30, 60, 90 days, you can build new habits, but it's painful. But my experience has been all of those behaviors are a result of events that happened in the past.
Yeah.
And instead of embracing them as negative problems, I look at them that I'm with my clients, I'm curious, why did they choose that pattern of behavior? It must have been the best solution in the moment. Is that your experience as well?
Absolutely. As you know, I probably don't ask as many whys as you do. I'm looking for what is the behavior? What is the choice that they made? This morning, I was working with a client. She was running a pattern from when she was 4 years old that was not serving her.
Yeah.
And we went back and
I never ask why, by the way. I'm curious what happened to them.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what happens. It's like, okay, what is this?
4 years old. How old is she today?
62.
God, no. So she's been carrying that problem for 58 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's blowing up. Here's what's sinking. She started the conversation with me today saying, I had this fight with my daughter and this fight with my husband and this fight with my father. And why is it that I'm the one that's always having to fix the problem? And I said, yeah, there's a common denominator here. And so what I'm going to do, and we just talked about the agreement frame and triggers. And we went back and did a change history on the event that happened where her needs had not been met. And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as a result of this session.
So when you get into it, the thing she presented with wasn't the problem.
Oh gosh, no.
And through a gift of I'll call it curious inquiry, and I know you're compassionate, you found an event at 4 years old. Now, you and I both know that's in a critical phase of mental development before the reticular activating systems form, the imprinting phase. And then you went back. What is your methodology there? Are you one-on-one on Zoom? Are you one-on-one to person? Is this a 30, a 90-minute, a 2-hour session? Well, how does this work? Tell us about your methodology.
So what I do, my whole program now is a year long. I start with the 2 3-hour sessions. The first one is the detailed personal history, and then we do timeline therapy and the 2 assessments, including the ZTPI that I got from you, Alan. I love that. People love the graph, and because they can see exactly where they are now. Oh, this is where I am now, and they particularly love it when they see it at the end and they see how much they've changed.
Yeah.
So those are my 2 sessions, and then I do 90.
Prestige tool, that is.
Yeah, and then I do 2 90-minute I do 2 90-minute sessions with them monthly. And so I have a 5C process every time I get together with a client. I start with celebration. What are we celebrating? Because I want them focused on their wins, because so many of my clients are not thinking about what went well. They're focused on the things that didn't go well, the things they didn't complete. They're chastising themselves in their head. So the first thing I do is I start with the first C, which is, what's the celebration? Then I ask them what the challenge is. They're easy. That one's easy. They have all the challenges.
Would you mind if we put the 5 C's in the banner that goes across here? So, so go ahead, Neil, if you would. The first C is to celebrate.
Celebration.
Yeah. And the second C?
Challenge. What's the challenge? And then I do a clearing technique. And based on the challenge, I pull out, we have so many clearing techniques that we learn in Neurolinguistic Programming. And this is the one program, just quick aside, this is the one coaching designation that I did get that was really helpful, because I got tools and I got processes and techniques that I could follow and have results for my clients.
So it's celebrate, challenge, and then you're clearing?
Clearing.
Yeah.
So then they have clarity.
Number 4 is clarity.
Yep. And then number 5 is, what's their commitment? What commitment are they making to themselves that they're going to do? So this is where, going back, we've got celebration, challenge, clearing, to get clarity, to have commitment. So then what happens? And then I follow up with an email and I talk to them about I always remind them of their celebrations, because again, we forget them so easily. We focus on the things that don't work. So they can go back to every email that I've sent to them. That's perfect. And they can look at all of their celebrations, all of their wins. And that's what I want for them, because that really helps their unconscious mind to go, oh yeah, this process is working. Look at how great I am. And then I talk about their tasks and the commitment, and then we talk about that next time.
Wow. This is so powerful to me, because you and I both know that one of the beauties of NLP and what we do is we can affect change fast. And you know that I lovingly joking that I've weaponized NLP in the fight against trauma. But and you know that I don't like clients hanging around for a long time, right? But I've also had clients who come back and their life's not right. And I've come to realize that while we made change in the unconscious mind, you have to do cognitively, you have to practice the change to habituate it. So your program, that's so brilliant what you just said, this 2 90-minute sessions every month where you come in with your 5C program, but you also remind them in email. So you're actually doing the repetitions. Of course it sticks. And you and I both know it probably takes 90 or 120 days that the repetitions now become enshrined in behavior, autonomic behavior. Is that correct? Do I have it close?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're bang on. Yep.
Wow.
And then, so my clients, because I'm also an entrepreneur in a service-based business, and I'm always looking to learn, we start talking about strategy and focus and different things. And then there's nuance. So that's what I like doing. So I love working with them with the big techniques and do the big clearing, so they can have greater clarity, and they're focused on what they want and taking the actions and seeing themselves shift. And I love witnessing that with them. It's like, oh, remember? So I love talking to them a year later and say, remember when you came to me and you weren't even willing to post your face on Instagram? And now I remember I have one client who's a rock star, literal rock star. She's on Spotify. And she came to me because she was not willing to do reels on Instagram. Today, I saw her in May, and she said, I can't even think of why I wouldn't even put really? I get up on stages and sing, but I wouldn't do a reel. But now she says, I can't even remember why I wasn't going to do that. I just do it. And that's what I love about NLP. It's like, you don't even have to remember why you were doing it. You just do it differently. You're just different. You change your identity.
Yep. That's so brilliant. So I'm, I'll take this moment. I'm always interested in trauma, small T trauma and big T trauma. So you haven't said it specifically, but a lot of the behaviors that your clients manifest, are they rooted in some small T trauma before 7 or some larger T trauma throughout their life? Would you say there's a high percentage have some form of trauma?
It's 50-50. But 50-50, it's either small T or big T trauma.
Okay, but it's 100% they've experienced trauma. Wow. Wow. And you're still doing some form of the NLP techniques to clear the traumas?
Well, I do your technique that I learned from you.
Okay.
Absolutely. And I found it to be very helpful and effective and quick, which I love.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works. And on all of them, on every single person, whether it's, a side eye glance that might be perceived as bullying.
Yeah.
Or abuse, or, the parents' well-meaning intentions that turned out to be not.
Yeah.
And like one client, she was carrying around the story of like her parents were so overly protective that she was in a box. And once she realized that why her parents were doing that, the reasons behind why her mother had been so overly protective, then she was able to loosen up, and she now has a thriving business and is doing incredible.
Wow. All right. I'm fascinated, because I think if you and I randomly interviewed 100 successful entrepreneurs and say, what role is trauma playing in your success or failure? They'd say, I didn't have any. 80%, 70% would say, I don't know what the right number is. I'm just spitballing here, but yeah, I'm fascinated. All right.
I remember one client who didn't believe that this was trauma. She had locked herself inadvertently in the bathroom. She was in a house where they had big metal doors on everything. And inadvertently, she got locked in the bathroom at the age of approximately 3. And then she was forgotten about by her family because they were watching television and they just didn't realize she wasn't in the room. So she was in there for what felt like days to her 3-year-old mind. Yes. We know it probably wasn't days. But when that was cleared, she now has $1 million in the bank.
Wow. Well, this is a good segue, because, we identify issues and we do work with them. And I'm very interested in the benefit your clients receive. So you've talked about this client. She went from this behavior to now having $1 million in the bank. Give us some more examples about behavioral changes for people, the improvement in their corporate lives, but their relationships. Because I have a belief that all change work should enhance our relationships at the end of the day. And so just tell us about, what benefits your clients receive.
Oh, so many. Okay. So
many.
One client came to me. She had a ceiling of 120K. She couldn't get past it. She wasn't willing to post on LinkedIn. She was a marketing consultant, but she didn't know how to get out of her own way. Turns out she personally had not had, well, that's not true. She was in New York City on the street of the day on September 11th, when the towers came down. She literally had to hide in a bookstore on that day, so that she wouldn't, because of what was going on. So that's a bit of trauma, I would say. But what was really stopping her was the fact that her mom had a rape, and that trauma had been passed down genetically to my client. And when we cleared the past trauma of the generation, then she and I had 3 or 4 sessions, and her identity shifted. Her relationship improved with her husband. She came to me. She said, Suzanne, my husband's really enjoying me having these sessions with you. And I'm like, now that's something I have not heard yet. Yeah. And I said, tell me more about that. And she goes, I want to have sex more.
Oh.
Her identity shifted. Yeah. The trauma was cleared. She now saw herself as the beautiful, attractive woman that you and I would see. She saw herself that way. And when we see ourselves as attractive, we're willing to have sex with our husbands.
Yes.
And so when she had more sex with her husband and she saw herself as attractive, she marketed differently and she made more money.
Yeah.
That was
relationships, corporate, career, everything, and her self-esteem, her self-worth.
Self-esteem, self-worth.
That's spectacular.
My co-author, Sarah, she wrote this book with me, The Millionaire Codes. And she came to me, the story is in here so I can share it with you. She came to me and she said, Suzanne, it's August. I want to make $1 million this year. I'm currently at, last year I made 300. This year I'm currently at 500. I want to get to 7 figures in the next 4 months. I said, let's do it. She had some significant trauma. We cleared that. She took actions more easily. She changed her identity. She stepped into the identity of the 7-figure CEO. She actually started to say, I just started to ask myself, what would the 7-figure CEO do? Her relationship with her husband was always good. She was always had a loving mother. Her relationship with her parents changed. She was more accepting of them, felt less criticized by them. And her relationship with her siblings changed.
Wow. Wow. That's significant. And that's already what we would deem to be a very successful person.
Absolutely.
And yet, when we change our beliefs about ourselves, it changes our relationship with others. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
She's the one that started to introduce me as the Millionaire Maker.
Oh, that's so cool. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. So I want to give you a moment for you to give your call to action. So if there are women entrepreneurs listening and this resonates with them, they love what they do, they're in a service business, but they know they're hitting, as you put it in your bio, a glass ceiling, and it's self-imposed. I mean, we can blame the infrastructure around us for the glass ceiling, but you and I both know most of our glass ceilings are inside our own unconscious minds. So I'd like to give you a moment. What would be your call to action to these women entrepreneurs who are listening? Because we go live here, but we post them on 3 channels and people watch them, and this will stay up, as well as shorts. We'll cut shorts and we'll put them out there. So what call to action do you want people to take away, women entrepreneurs to take away from this interview?
Thank you. You'd think I'd have this nailed. I really just would invite you to set up a clarity session with me. You can reach me on my website, which Alan will put a link to. Set up a clarity session. I give a free hour call to find out what's going on, and we might be able to solve what's stopping you now. And because you said it beautifully already, Alan, that is, I work with female entrepreneurs who are in a service-based business who are knowing that there's something not going well. They're not able to step out of the box, get out of their own way, and they're not getting the results that they want. So they want more. And I also want to see you paying yourself what you're worth.
I just had this thought as I heard you talk. I think the more successful a person becomes, the less likely they are to open their kimono and say, I hurt.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's so true.
And they need a private channel, because their persona at their corporate life or at their home life or in their social sphere is this big, dynamic, successful person. But when they're looking in the mirror, when they're self-reflecting, they feel something. Maybe it's disingenuous or unworthy or unlovable or something. And yet they don't have a platform to express that because of their very success.
Yeah. And
wow.
Quite frankly, they don't have anybody that they can say, hey, I'm hurting. Hey, this hurt my feelings. Hey, I'm not doing well. Hey, I'm struggling. They don't have any, because they've got to be buttoned up, makeup on, lipstick on, and showing everybody that they've got it all together.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. In my world, I work with literally economic underachievers, but it's the same root cause. These people have extraordinary trauma, and they've been induced into a lifestyle that doesn't enable, at that moment in time, success. But it's the same thing, right? They suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And it's this suffering silence that I don't think people understand the degree to which people at all stratas of the economy suffer. And you and I both know entrepreneurialism is lonely.
Oh gosh, yeah.
It's bloody lonely.
And
All right, so we're going to get some questions and answers up in the comments here. Neil will put them up on the screen. As soon as some come out, well, bam, right there. I only open my mouth and one pops. Here's Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. I had an interesting memory come up today and wondered why. Always find it interesting when something from so far back comes up. What a great question, Natalie.
do you want me to answer it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, the unconscious mind holds all of your repressed memories and brings them up when you're ready to release them. So let's talk, Natalie.
There you go. There you go. And that's so interesting, I think, Suzanne, because most people, well, first, we're not taught about how memories are stored, their accessibility, and why they're repressed and why they come up when they come up. So you and I come from a belief structure that our unconscious mind will represent a memory when there's a time to healing. And I'm 100% with Suzanne. If that memory just came up today and wonder why it keeps coming up, I would book a session with Suzanne. And as she said, her contacts will be in the show notes below. That's a great question.
And it's really good that Natalie is aware of what she's thinking, because so many people they just dismiss them, or they swallow them down, or they don't pay attention. So
yeah,
Natalie.
Yeah. Well, I love David Goggins, but part of David Goggins' theories, like he's fueled by anger most of the time. And when an adverse memory comes up, he just powers through it, right? He powers through and away it, but they keep coming. It would be better to heal that memory and be training out of love and passion rather than be constantly fueled by need and anger, I think, right? You're igniting two different sides of your neurology.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Here's another question from Connect Digital. How to stay grounded while growing my business? Grounded in what? But okay, we'll just assume grounded is a positive experience. How do you stay grounded while growing your business, Suzanne?
Yeah, Alan, I think that there's multiple meanings in this. And so if I was in a coaching session with this individual, I would absolutely need more details. Like, what do you mean by grounded? And so we would go in and this is a sentence that we need way more help with. And, for example, what does grounded mean to you? What is it? Where is it that you feel that you may not be grounded? What, does that mean humble to you? Does that mean that you literally grounding? Like, do you need to actually wake up in the morning and ground? I know that for when I first finished my training, that was one of the exercises and the assignments that they had is you need to keep grounded, because because I had physically experienced physical trauma, broken bones, bruises, all sorts of stuff in my first marriage. I literally wanted to leave my body on a regular basis. So I needed to ground my energy into my body to enjoy life and build my business. So for me, it was physically doing the practice of grounding, which is an energetic practice, so that I could grow, because we know the biggest trees will grow to their first full potential and their height when they are deeply grounded with their roots. So that's how I would answer that question.
Yeah. And as I listen to you, your 5 C's seem to be very grounding.
Mm-hmm.
They seem to be very grounding. Celebrate and the bookends of celebrate and then recommit. To me, is a mental grounding. I know people, I'm one of them, that if I can get barefoot in grass or barefoot on ground, I do it all the time. So I actually believe in the physical act of grounding as well. The other parents at soccer pitches look at me like I'm crazy. It's a fall and I'm standing around barefoot in the grass. But
oh my God, that makes me cold.
oh, there you go. No, it's beautiful. All right. Are there more questions, Neil? Creator Connect. What's one thing you tell someone who feels stuck right now?
What specifically feels stuck? So go into that. Ask the meta questions. This is based on Virginia Satir's work. How specifically are you stuck? What specifically is stuck? And then I love an exercise that I learned in my first, this is the one technique that I learned in my first coaching designation, which is called Clarity through Contrast. And that is, write down all the things that are not working, like what's not working. And like, I feel stuck right now. And then write out the exact opposite on the other side of the page. So not stuck would mean that I'm showing up and on LinkedIn more, or I'm commenting, or I'm booking podcasts, or I'm blah, 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 blah. And whatever that is, and then focus on that and create the steps to get you there. But as Alan and I have been talking, if there's some there might be a reason that you're keeping yourself stuck, and it might be a safety concern. It might be an unrepressed memory and an unresolved emotion that hasn't come up, and that needs to be cleared. And oftentimes when we're stuck, it's because something needs to be cleared so you can take action easily.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And Neil, are there any, there's another one. What keeps you inspired to help help others grow? Sorry.
It's my why. Honestly, I remember years ago, I was in a situation where I couldn't get the help I needed.
Yeah.
I was banging on doors, asking I went to see a psychotherapist. I just left my first husband. I was suicidal. I went to see a psychotherapist. She said, I was like, I'm just trying to keep it all together so I can get through to tomorrow.
Yeah.
And she said, so tell me about your childhood. And I said, look, again, I just need to be able to figure this out so I can get through to tomorrow, because the last thing I need to do is hate my parents. And she said at the end of our first session, I can't help you.
Wow. So you go to somebody, a trusted professional, and they say that.
And I went, and again, I was suicidal, but I wasn't saying it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I will never, ever be in a situation where there's somebody out there who's in pain.
Yeah.
And I shut the door on them. No way.
Wow.
That's what makes me inspired to help others grow.
I want to interject here just for a moment. Suzanne has shared some very deep personal experiences. And you'll notice she tells them coherently, clearly, in detail, without any inappropriate or unwarranted arousal. That is a clear sign of any traumas that she did experience in her life, of being healed or cleared. And I know that she sleeps well and eats well and takes care of herself. So, you are a walking example of what healed trauma looks like.
Thank you.
And I thank you for that. Neil, we'll take a wrap on the questions. Oh, here's the last one. Cool. Sprinkles of wisdom. What's one daily habit that changed everything for you?
Paying attention to my thoughts.
Being mindful of your thoughts.
And when a negative one comes in, figure it out, like go in. Okay, what's going on with that? What's happening? Not asking why, because why gets us into analysis paralysis and we keep spinning. But the one is just paying attention. And now
why am I so broken?
Right. Yeah, now it's just, I call it compassionate observation. It's like, well, that's an interesting thought. Where did that come from? All right. And I get to reach out. I've got people in my life. I still have Alan in my life for a reason. Hey, Alan, I got this thing. I need you. I've got other people that I reach out to. I pay coaches to help me. Please, if you're a coach, pay a coach. Don't be a coach without a coach. Yes.
Could I add one more question to that, or one more line to that response you had? Be mindful. I learned these 3 questions or this process. I can't remember where I learned it for the life of me. It goes like this. You said it. Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah.
And then the next question to ask is, how does this thought behave?
Ooh.
Because, if I'm having a negative thought about myself, that thought may lead to a behavior, self-deprecation, self-harm, how does that thought behave? Right? And then, do I want to do that? So if I'm angry at someone and I have a thought, like a bad thought, how does this thought behave? No. Do I want to do that? No. How would I like to behave instead? Ooh. And then that gets you right through it. So thank you for that. That's brilliant. So here you go. I'm going to ask my favorite question now, Suzanne. All right. You ready?
Yep.
Cool. So if I were to have the pleasure of interviewing, say, 10 or 12 of your clients, and I said, okay, in a sentence, what would you want to say about Suzanne? So what do you want those 10 or 12 clients to say about you?
About me to other
Yeah.
people?
So if I interviewed 12 of your clients, what would you like them to say about you if I gave them a sentence to describe you, your work?
Well, this is what they have told me. I've heard things
No,
like,
but what would you want them to say?
you changed my life. She changed my life. I'm in a different place now, a place of that I'm living the dream life that I never even conceived was possible.
Beautiful.
And now I'm living bigger, doing more, having more, being more.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. All right. With that, we'll put a bow on it. We'll call it a wrap. Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you guys, this is on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Suzanne's links are in the bottom. And I'm going to segue all the way back with my call to action, because Suzanne said her first course she got out, she got a coaching certificate with nothing to do it. For all of you out there, Suzanne and I've been through the same training process together. And now that's the reason I launched the new clinical applications of NLP. When people graduate from that 12-week online course, not only do they know all of NLP and the neuroscience of change, but they actually have a coaching modality, a beginning, a middle, and end that's evidence-based, and they can actually step into a place of coaching the day they graduate. So if anybody's interested, the link's below. We also have a free ebook down there. There's a link to Inspyrd Healing, the journey from tragedy to triumph over trauma. And again, book a consult with Suzanne. If you're stuck, if you're an entrepreneur and you know you're not doing what you're meant to do, please, please, please book a consult with Suzanne. Thank you again.
Thank you.